And welcome to the Claret and Blue podcast post-match reaction for Aston Villa's victory in the FA Cup third round into the fourth round bowl of balls. Neil, are you buzzing about that like I am?
I am. A lot of alliteration there. My buzzing bowl of balls is absolutely thrilled with that game.
Clip that, everybody. Yeah, I'm really happy. Obviously, we did a podcast leading up to the game about our thoughts and our honest opinions of the FA Cup and where it lies in the list of priorities for Villa. But all that out of the way, it doesn't matter. I want to win football matches, and that was us winning a football match in a different way. There's a few comments for dirty Spurs, which is in the title. To be honest, I completely agree. I thought some of the stuff, and we'll talk about it, is scenes we don't like to see, is it, from things like that? But although we do quite like to see some of it. But a game where we played really well in the first half, some really good attacking play, and in the second had to dig in quite a lot as well to see the game through when Spurs were considerably better. And it's nice to show a different side of Villa winning a game, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it is, but we've seen that side of Villa quite a lot this year. We
fair.
2-1 is our scoreline. That's what we win. I think you'd be a wealthy man if you bet on winning 2-1 in every game. You would be, and I'm delighted the way that Villa played in the first half, and I'm even more so delighted in the resolution that they the resoluteness that they showed in the second half, because that's the character that you need when you're not a top 5 team in the world, or a top. Well, we're statistically a top 3 team in England at the moment, but when you're not, traditionally a team that's used to seeing out games, you got to learn some way, and doing that today I thought was fantastic.
Yeah. English with Richard Park says, is it too early to talk of a potential treble? Not the treble, I suppose, with the Europa League, but a treble nonetheless. I mean, whilst we're still in every competition, yeah, go for it. Plenty of comments rolling through. Thanks, everyone, for joining us live. Obviously, Neil, you've done your own show, so hopefully people have come from yours. And I believe the 1874 podcasts are live at 10 p.m. So if you want to come back in a couple of hours to YouTube, there's plenty of Villa content coming your way. Let's start off straight away, because I've got an easy setup into a big talking point with the man of the match selection. Ooh, it's everybody's favourite section. It's the Man of the Match Award, brought to you by NordVPN. We're going to do our very best to try and select 3 players who are worthy of the often dubbed Booba Kamara Award. Will he be up for contention today? Who knows? I'm recording this on a random Wednesday. Let's get on with the episode, shall we? I mentioned that being an easy segue because obviously Boubacar Kamara will not be a contender for the man of the match due to an injury in the first 5 minutes or so. That's a huge talking point, and that's what I want to do before we get to the man of the match. That's a massive blow. Everything today has gone about as perfectly as it can be for an FA Cup third round, in my opinion. You've knocked out a fellow Premier League side away from home, cracking result. You've played a relatively strong side, which we'll get to as well. But without injuries, besides Kamara, everything there is great. You're still in the round, still in the hat for the next round. A week to go to our next game. Happy days. But that Kamara injury absolutely plagues it, doesn't it? And there's plenty of comments suggesting, have you heard anything yet? Have you heard anything? I think the presser with Emery is happening now. John said he'll send me any lines that come through from that, and I'll share them if they come through in the next 20 minutes or so. I would suspect it will be he will be examined, he'll be scanned or whatever it is, and we won't actually know anything tonight anyway. But like you, I'm sure, Neil, I'm very worried about this one being even a month long, 6 weeks would be a huge blow.
It would be, but I haven't seen the incident. I think it was more knee on knee. And it wasn't, there didn't seem to be any twisting action, didn't seem to be any turning action or anything in it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, if you think different, but I think it was more knee on knee. I think it just was like a bang to the side of the knee, and he was like, "Oh, I'm not going to chance this one."
I'm hoping it was that precaution, wasn't it? Like, okay, well, this has happened in the first 5 minutes. There's no point trying to play through it and aggravating it. I mean, if he's back for next week or even the week after, I'd snap your hand off for that right now, because the worry would be, it's going to be a month, and that becomes 6 weeks, and that becomes 8 weeks.
I'm hoping that you get the Unai Emery line of, it's only a small injury, we'll have to see. Like this, like he tells you, like he says, a small injury when it is only something like that. It looked to me like a kind of a dead leg or something like that. But yeah, we do wait with bated breath because he's just so pivotal to us. Like, he's brilliant. And with Onana being out as well.
Yeah.
While Bogard was like fantastic today, I thought, in the main, they're two very experienced players to come in a pivotal time where we could, Unai Emery wants to get top 5 wrapped up as quick as he possibly can, and that sounds bonkers to say as an Aston Villa fan, but we have an opportunity to do that. So now is not the time to be losing someone as pivotal as Kamara. And but look, as I say, it'll hopefully we cross our fingers and we see what comes from it. But the fact that he got up, he tried to play on, and they went, "This is a small bit." I don't think it was like touching wood everywhere here that. I'm not expecting it to see any ligament sprains or anything like that.
No, you wouldn't have thought so. And there was a few suggestions on social media of, well, he hobbled off. How bad could it be?
Yeah.
But I don't like to remind everybody that he did hobble off when he did his ACL. So that isn't it won't be ACL, by the way. Well, I'm not a doctor, but it didn't look like that kind of, like you say, it didn't look like that kind of twist or anything. Yeah. So it did seem more of an impact of a bruise or dead leg even, maybe. I don't know. I'm hoping it was just precautionary. He goes off. Let's not worry about it. And maybe he plays against Everton, and it's absolutely nothing to worry about. So we'll wait to see what Emery says today. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't hear anything till the Everton presser next week, though. So let's all kind of hang around and see what happens. On the starting 11, I know you would have done a team sheet tantrum podcast before the game. That was a much stronger side than I thought we were going to play. Is that what your consensus was? I didn't watch it, by the way.
Absolutely. It wasn't like I was expecting 5 to 7 changes. Now I know there was 6 changes from the Palace game or whatever, but I was expecting more changes. I wasn't expecting Konza to play. I wasn't expecting
Konza and Kamara were the two I thought definitely wouldn't play.
Yeah, I thought Kamara wouldn't play. I thought Sancho would start. I thought, so he went stronger. And you know what? In hindsight, I think, look, we can all talk about Kamara, I think, but in hindsight, it set the tone for that first half, and it gave us an opportunity to make some changes in the second half and bring people on. Maybe that small bit, I'm not going to say a small bit earlier because it was like, 65, 70 minutes, the same time he makes changes anyway. But he did make those changes. And like we finished with Maatsen, Garcia, the regular, or the fullbacks came off, the people behind the striker came off, and the striker came off. So it's he did still rotate like he does, and maybe that's his thing. Maybe he's saying if the people who I need to rotate are only getting 60 minutes every game maximum, or 65 minutes, well then why do I need to rotate them? It's that's not, you're saving a third of a game.
I think on Wednesday we probably would have seen a weaker team to begin with, but because there's a week anyway, you do just treat this. If this was a Premier League game, there would have been we've got a game next week, we have to make changes. It's only because it's the FA Cup and it's seen as different, but it's a fellow Premier League opposition away from home. So I am glad that he went strong, because I think if we'd just started with a weaker side, I don't think we do potentially win the game in the way that we do, because we were so good in the first half and we're kind of able to capitalise on Spurs' frailties, I think, of if we score here, they're going to buckle a little bit, the atmosphere is going to change, all those kind of things. I think if we'd played the first half poorly and had to try and scrape our way back into it, that would have been much more of a struggle than starting strong and going ahead. So yeah, I was glad that we started with a good side. We have to talk about the referee a little bit. We often do. And part of this feeds into the dirty Spurs narrative, for my opinion. But what I don't understand is why the referees continue to allow it, basically. The first 2 challenges in that opening, up until the Kamara injury, so Palhinha on Kamara is a yellow card. It just is. Xavi Simons on Cash is also a yellow card, in my opinion. Now, that's a bit more of they've both gone for it and he just happens to make contact with him, so I can kind of maybe see it. But the Palhinha one is just, he's absolutely gone to stop Kamara, not to try and win the ball, and he's absolutely clattered into him. Like you say, it's knee on knee. It's the most obvious foul ever. And if it is half an hour in, maybe not with this ref, but generally if it's half an hour in, it's an obvious yellow card. And this attitude of like, let the game breathe early. A foul is a foul, whether it happens in the first 5 seconds or the last 5 seconds.
I agree, Dan. Like we're seeing all these so like there's nothing more infuriating than watching Dermot Gallagher give his opinion on what should have been a foul and what shouldn't have been a foul, because what he does is he quotes the law in the main when it suits him. And then what we hear these things like, well, the Premier League is a 5 centimeter tolerance for offsides. And you're going, yeah, right, it does. Yeah, pull the other one. It absolutely does. Yeah. Yeah, I have a bridge to sell you too. And then you hear stuff like that, like, oh no, you let the game breathe. Whereas, like, if Polinia had, and look, this is obviously being hyperbolic. If Polinia kicked him in the neck, do you leave the game breathe then? Like, you know, so it's a foul is a foul. Like, if it's a red card, do you leave him off with a yellow because it's early in the game? I think
I can kind of understand that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you want the game to be 11v11 and it's to be fairer. But again, if it's a dangerous challenge, a red card is still a red card. But a yellow in the first 5 minutes is not going to affect the game to the extent of, this is now unbalanced.
And the point I was going to make was that, like, if that was a completely reckless challenge and the referee would sit back, he'll stop, he'll tell everyone like this, put his hand to his ear, and he'll listen for VAR. And it could be a blatant red card if it's early in the game. And what that allows him to do is go, didn't want to send him off, wanted to let the game breathe. With a yellow card, he just doesn't give it, and then there's no, like, people are kind of desensitized to it, you know, as well. Yeah. There's no pomp and circumstance to it. It's just a case of, well, I didn't see it as a yellow card, and people go, okay.
Yeah. We're going to jump around in this episode because I want to stick on this dirty Spurs theme before we move on to the goals. Throughout the game, there was plenty of opportunity for players to get bookings. I haven't noted down specific moments or players, but there were plenty of fouls in that game that probably should have been bookings earlier than they were. Polinia gets one in the second half, but that should have been his second by that point anyway.
Yeah.
And he plays differently if he's on that booking in the first 5 minutes because he was instrumental to them in the second half of trying to get them back into the game. And I think he's got to be a bit more careful in the way he's going about that if he gets the yellow for the Kamara challenge in the first 5 minutes. So it does have an impact. Now, we've not lost the game, so I don't care really. It's not had an impact that I'm fuming about it. But if you want fairness across the game, then you can't just say, well, it's early on, get away with it. Because they're doing it throughout then because they've been allowed to get away with it early. The one on Rodgers in the second half.
Absolutely.
That's bad. It's a bad one, that is.
Oh, well, no, according to Glenn Hoddle, in any era of any football, that is a tremendous tackle, Glenn Hoddle said. He said that is a tremendous tackle. And I was looking at it going, he look, both his legs, look, whatever, Glenn. I look, Spurs fan trying to commentate in Spurs games, I had a rant about that on my podcast as well. I can understand it. Like, I'd find it difficult to be non-biased as well, but there's a lot of parts of the game that have passed Glenn Hoddle by as well, and anyway, look, we won't get into it. Like, obviously, you can drift down the whole lines of getting very personal and stuff like that with commentators and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, Glenn Hoddle was wrong. It wasn't a fantastic challenge. If it was,
a couple of comments. Liam says, you say it's not had an impact on the game, it may have an impact on our season with our best player going off injured. Yeah, I get that, obviously, but the challenge has already happened by that point anyway. I think the not giving of a yellow card to effectively maybe doesn't change the outcome of the game, but changes the way that Spurs are allowed to try and get back into it. Of course, Kamara, whether it's a yellow card, red card, or none at all, the foul is a foul, and we wait and see what happens. A lot of discussion, presumably from Spurs fans or non-Villa fans, of Villa are soft, Villa are babies, says Ronnie with the Spurs profile picture. Got the ball, dirty, your players are babies. Coming from the fan base, by the way, that are still booing Matty Cash for a challenge on Bentancur that kept him out for about 3 games 3 years ago. Do we now boo Polinia for the next 3 years? Is that the way it works?
Oh, yeah. Why not? Yeah, well, it doesn't matter because they're not going to sign him anyway, and he's going to go back to Bayern Munich. So we'll boo him in the Champions League next year when we play Bayern Munich.
Okay. That's just the way it works. I want to also get this next part out of the way. So I have a video from James Rushton who posted it on social media of the aftermath at the end. Now, I was watching it on TV, on BBC, and the scuffle at the end was presumed to be Rodgers versus Polinia, again, based off the back of the tackle. He celebrated and he didn't like it. And that's kind of where they left it. They then came back to it and I thought they were going to show some footage, but didn't. Rushton was in the away end and sent me this video.
Can I just say something? Mickey van der Ven seems to be the weakest 6'4" player I've ever seen. You see how handbaggy he was there. Oh my God.
Interesting thing about that.
Tell Mickey van der Ven he needs to eat his Weetabix, Ronnie.
The funny thing about that is it's actually Ollie Watkins that is the instigator of that, for celebrating, by the way, in front of our own supporters, 9,000 of them. We've won the game. Ollie Watkins is well within his rights, possibly as an Arsenal fan who doesn't like Tottenham, to celebrate in front of the Villa fans, absolutely. Gives it big pass Palhinha, who then pushes Watkins. I've just realised I played a video there for a podcast, which is why I'm describing it. And that's when Rodgers comes in to kind of start with Palhinha, who obviously is disgruntled by what's happened during the game. I like a bit of that anyway, but again, to me, it's a little bit performative from the Spurs side. They know they're under pressure. Those kind of things do go a long way of like, oh, look, he cares. He's passionate. Is he? Is he really? Or are you just pissed off that you've lost the game? Like, it just all feels a little bit silly to me, and it will be dressed up as, oh, yeah, he's passionate. He cares. Play well during the game then from the first minute instead of waiting for an hour to kick into gear.
Yeah, look, I'll just look, as I say, a bit of banter there about that. That bit at the end doesn't get me up, doesn't get me down or anything like that. Look, that's competitive nature and competitive sport. Like, I'd expect the Spurs players to be annoyed that they lost that game. I'd expect the Villa players to be happy that they won that game. Right, Ollie Watkins goes and celebrates in front of the away fans. Palhinha sticks his head in the back of his head and pushes up against it. Ollie Watkins barely doesn't even turn around for ages. And then before you know it, then Morgan Rogers and Lamar Bogart come in to pull him away. And then Mickey van de Ven comes in and tries to do a waltz with Morgan Rogers. There's nothing major in that. If anything, like nobody should be worried about anybody getting retrospectively banned.
No, definitely not.
That's just heated. You'll see, you'll see worse than the toddler playground.
Yeah. David says, by the way, Porro needs mentioning also. Forgot ridiculous behaviour throughout. You could hear him, you could see him shouting obscenities towards the ref and the fourth official and whoever else during some of those scenes towards the end. Not that clip I've just played while the game was still playing on at one of the decisions. And he also goes mental at the linesman, which he does get booked for the offside for Simmons, was it, I think? Which was the most obvious offside you'll see. I don't know what he's complaining about.
Yeah, look, I like Pedro Porro. I would love. I think
he's a good footballer. But he's
I would have no problem having Pedro Porro in Claret and Blue. None whatsoever. He's really, really good right back. I have no problem with it. Look, again, I think teams like that, like every professional footballer is going to go out there to try and find a competitive advantage. Sometimes it's being in the referee's ear. It suits some players. It doesn't. Sometimes it's geeing up the fans. Other players don't like to do that. Sometimes players have to put in, like Roy Keane had to put in a tackle to get himself up for it. He had to feel like he was going into the white-hot battle, whereas you could never say that Ollie Watkins needs to do that, So players tick off in different ways, and that's like the home fans will love Pedro Porro for doing that. The away fans will hate Pedro Porro for doing that. The home fans will love Morgan Rogers and Lamar Bogart for backing up Palhinha. The away fans the home fans will love Palhinha for doing that to Ollie Watkins. The away fans will love Morgan Rogers for backing him up. And it's the tribalism of football, Of course, for me, like, it's. Yeah, we'll remember that, but like at the end of the day, I don't. It's not something. If I was his manager, I'd be saying, "Listen, you got to cut that out of your game because it's competitive advantage, and 9 times out of 10, when they're winning, they'll probably get an advantage from it as well." So it's for me, it's part of the game. It's fine.
Yeah, a more reasoned response than me just kind of laughing at these players. There is a quote from Emery via John Townley about Kamara, who simply says, "Tomorrow we will check him. We will know something about his injury. Of course, we must be patient until tomorrow. Hopefully not a big injury and something less than more," which is a direct quote. That's all there is. Doesn't really give too much away. I think if it was a serious injury, I'm not quite even sure he would have come out and said, "Oh yeah, it's a bad one. I'm really worried about him." But hopefully not a big injury, something less than more. Translation for Emery speak. Neil, what do you think? A couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think that's more of a case of that they're. I was hoping that he would not say the hope. Like, it's hard to know when Unai Emery because it's hard to translate that. Like, it's always hard to translate some of what he says. Sometimes he's literal meanings for words. Sometimes he's got cryptic meanings for words. I don't know. I don't know based on.
I didn't think we'd know. Even with some quotes, I still didn't think we'd know.
Yeah. Someone is saying that I might be wrong. Says 2 to 4 weeks. Then I'm kind of getting that feeling from it. I'll be honest with you. I'm not expecting it like months and months out, but I'm expecting a whole thing like whereby an Onana type 3-weeker maybe.
Yeah, I think Onana's another couple of 2 or 3 weeks, isn't he? I think was said at the presser before the game. So having them out at the same time is not ideal. It's a nice segue to talk about Bogard actually, who I think, and there was a comment before we went live that one of the nice things about Bogard is you don't really notice him too much, which never sounds like a great compliment, but it is meant in the intention of Tielemans, Kamara, and Nana are three very good midfielders, and Bogard has stepped in there, and you've not gone, he's not as good as the others. Now, I'm not saying he's as equal level because the other three are better, but he's not like, he looks like a championship player. He's nowhere near as good as Nana. He's nowhere near as good as Kamara, like serious drop off. He's a good footballer, Bogard, and we'll probably see a decent amount of him over the next few weeks because of the Kamara and Onana injuries. Obviously, there were some links to Conor Gallagher as well. I've no idea whether there's anything in that or not, and if that happens, we'll talk about it. If it doesn't, we won't. I'd like him. I think he's a good player. Is he a Kamara replacement? No, but when you're struggling for midfielders, I'd take him. Well, actually, what's interesting, to me at least anyway, and I don't think I even included this in the edit, so this might be something we come back to on the Q&A next week. When we did our Hockley live show a few weeks ago, we spoke about transfers, and those in the room will be able to clarify for me here, or verify here. I asked the guys whether midfield signings in January would be an option, and we kind of, surely not. Like we've got stacked midfield. That's probably the one area that we don't need, and that was kind of it, and we moved on. But I always just felt Onana is due an injury at some point. We know that. Kamara usually gets a decentish injury every season. Barkley, you can't really rely on him either. So you're then left with Tielemans and McGinn, who can play further back, and Bogard. That then does look a little bit light. So I can understand why you would want somebody's energy of someone like Gallagher as well to replace Onana potentially in that kind of way. But he's also a little bit McGinn, isn't he? Gallagher. And I don't want this to become a Gallagher podcast. It's not even happened yet, but I can see why Emery would be interested in that kind of player.
100%. Unai Emery has made no secret of his love for Conor Gallagher. This is apparently the second time we would have heard time.
Yeah.
I think we might have tried to sign him under Unai Emery. Unai Emery would love to have Conor Gallagher in there for lots of reasons. Is that Conor Gallagher is one of the most versatile midfielders. He may not be he's just quintessential 7 out of 10, whether you play him 6-8, it's in the 6th position, the 8th possession, or the 10th position. And because he's got good technical ability, he's got great determination, and he's got an engine on him. And essentially, they're the three aspects you need to play with midfield. Does that mean that you're going to be a Ballon d'Or winner in midfield? No, it doesn't. But at the end of the day, Unai Emery's teams are made out of determined 7 out of 10 players. That's the majority of our team is that, and that's fantastic. The reason I think Villa might be tempted to go for him now is because if he gets a move somewhere else, gets to the World Cup with the extended squads in the World Cup because of the heat over there and stuff like that, and let's say he gets a few minutes and somebody comes knocking in the summer and drives up the price and we won't be able to afford him. The opportunity of the reason it's coming up in January now is loan to buy locks Villa in so that we can get him in the summer. And I think regardless
of, I think rather than the summers.
Exactly. At today's value rather than the summers. Ross Barkley is gone in the summer regardless. Yeah. And potentially we might see another midfielder go. Who knows? I don't know. Nobody knows what the PSR or SCR implications are going into next year. So getting Conor Gallagher in now gives us one less thing to do in the summer and allows him to bed in this year so that he can hit the ground running next year. And I think that it's like Unai talks about, we're looking for opportunities in the market. And I think that's what he means. I don't think he's like the opportunities in the market are him getting Allison in now to see what we can do, getting the 16-year-old John Gonzalez in as well to see what he can do. I think the club are probably looking at the probability and saying, currently at the moment, you put a 75% chance to 80% chance Villa will be playing Champions League next year.
Yeah.
And they want to bring players in. So Conor Gallagher would probably push you over the level there. So bringing a Conor Gallagher on as opposed to bringing a Ross Barkley on, you're probably in a better position to bring back Gallagher on. Starting, like, if you've got Kamara out, you can start Conor Gallagher there as a 6, as a genuine 6 to be able to hassle, harry, block, tackle, get in people's faces. He can play that position really well. He can also play the Tielemans position really well if Tielemans was out, beside Kamara. And he can also play in that elevated 10 position as well, albeit I think that's his worst position. He's still probably a 6.5 to 7 out of 10 there too. So it's the versatility of, like McGinn, of playing in those three positions. And lastly as well, he's 4 years younger than John McGinn, 5 years younger than John McGinn.
Yeah, he's
And John
25, isn't he, I
McGinn, I think he's 26 in the start of February.
Okay.
John McGinn is like, Father Time waits for no one, So how about you get your John McGinn replacement in now and have him play with John McGinn for the next 2.5, 3 years, and then and then have that fluidity. So these are the opportunities I think Unai Emery talks about in the market. I think previously we would have talked about opportunity cost in the market of getting in young players like Nedjelkovic, like Yashin Ozkan, and leaving them at their teams. And maybe they come good for Aston Villa. But where we are now currently, and with the Harvey Elliott piece and so on, I think Unai said we made mistakes in the market. I think what his mindset is, the opportunity cost comes to get players in now, so we pay now's value as opposed to paying tomorrow's value.
Yeah.
Right? And that might go up or that might go down, but he doesn't want to take the chance.
I completely agree with all of that. However, we'll talk more about Conor Gallagher if and when it happens. That could have been a 5-minute segment on a player that will never play for Villa. But I hope he does, because I do like him. I think he's a great player. Had a really good spell at Palace, didn't he? I think he's a good player. There has to be resolution to the Elliott scenario. Liverpool surely have to take him back and do something with him. But from a kind of purely financial point of view, if you said Unai Emery's got two options, activate 30 odd million on Harvey Elliott in the summer, who he clearly doesn't want to do that on, or you finally get Conor Gallagher, seemingly, after being after him for a couple of windows for around the same kind of fee, I think you snap your hand off for Gallagher, because Emery clearly sees something in him for his specific setup, so that excites me. Let's go back to the first few minutes of the podcast, almost half an hour later. Man of the match, and talk about some goals, shall we? Is there anybody besides the official man of the match chosen by BBC, at least, Emi Buendia, as the man of the match? I know it's easy for kind of pundits to do that. And I think Alan Shearer picked it on co-coms. He's got the goal and the assist. That always elevates you to you were a 7 out of 10, but you've scored, so now you're an 8 out of 10. But I thought his all-round play was good as well, Buendia. After a couple of shaky games around Christmas, I think that was him back to the Buendia that we saw pre-Christmas.
Yeah, I would give man of the match to Buendia. I'm probably so biased towards Tielemans. Like, I thought Tielemans was really good when he came on as well. Thought he was superb. Thought Bogard was good too. But look, Buendia had the meaningful actions in this game, like won us the game. So, I think
thought Marlon played really well as well. Actually, we're not mentioned him.
Yeah. I think that's one of his better performances over the last 4 or 5 weeks. I think for sure. But I think there's always going to be games where they're going to suit Emi Buendia. I've said this before. There's going to be games that suit him. There's games that won't. Like Wolves did not suit him at all. After 5 minutes, you were like, he doesn't want to be in there. It's just not going to suit him. He's going to get frustrated. Whereas a game like today did. And one game suit him, and playing against Spurs does suit him, because like he obviously scored that brilliant goal last time as well.
Scored there on the Gerrard as well, I think.
Yeah, he you can see it in him. He's almost like a look good, feel good, play good type of player, and he certainly did today. And look, a buzzing Emi Buendia, and I think Unai Emery had some quotes about him in his presser afterwards as well. I read there on Twitter, talking about how good he's been and how good it's been to get him back into the setup. And I think that's his 6th goal so far this season as well. So like, come here, 6 goals from a player who was out the door 6 months ago is a superb return. It just goes to show the great man management that Unai Emery has.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's his best goal scoring return for us already, with 20 odd games left to go, barring any injury, of course. So yeah, good season from Buendia so far. More to come, hopefully. We'll carry on with him in a second, but Grace in the comments, shout for Pau. I'll forget if I don't mention it now. Great to have him back. A really, really important player. Nice to get 90 minutes as well. Like, I know you don't often change the centre backs anyway, but a player that's coming back from injury, I thought, maybe if it was more comfortable in the second half and we were 3-0 up, then possibly he comes off. But no, so he can get 90 minutes in him, and with a week's rest, you'd now have him in contention to be the pick again, Torres. But in some ways, a bit of a shame for Lindelof, because I think he's been brilliant over the last few weeks in Pau's absence. So again, nice to have those options. Lindelof will still get minutes, I'm certain of that. But Pau is such a good footballer that it's a blessing to have him back.
Absolutely, yeah, it's great. Brilliant and all as Victor Lindelof has been. They're two different types of players in a way. So and it's only a good thing to say that you've got Pau Torres there. Like, I expect Pau Torres to play against Fenerbahce. but maybe I don't expect him to play against Everton. Like it's for me, it's great to have that cavalry come back, because like we were one injury away, and especially with Kamara being out now, we were one injury away there from crisis stations at centre half.
Yeah,
we really were.
Mings obviously on the bench as well.
And Mings being on the bench, exactly. That's what I was going to say there as well. So we've got our two left-sided centre halves back. We've got Lindelof and Konza back as well, are there as well. And we've Andres Garcia getting minutes. So we've got two right backs getting minutes now at the moment. We've got two left backs getting minutes. And we've got Lamar Bogart, who can play across all three, all right back, centre half, or central defensive midfield as well, getting minutes. So the squad rotation, I think, from Unai Emery has been quite good this year. I think when you look back at it and you look at the allocation of minutes, you'll kind of go, right, there's been a lot of areas whereby he's managed minutes really well and gotten results out of it. And that's maybe something that we didn't see previously. And that's just evolution of the team and the squad itself, which is great to see.
Yeah. Spurs fan in the comments. Dirty Spurs. Are you forgetting what Cash did to Bentancur? He hasn't been the same player since that long-term injury. Yeah. We're missing 11 players. You lot are rubbish. I mean, if we're rubbish, wow. What does that say about Tottenham?
I know.
Jesus Christ.
And we didn't injure those 11 players. We didn't injure those 11 players.
And Bentancur missed about 3 weeks or something years ago. I genuinely, I know it's a bit of pantomime, but I can't believe they're still banging on about that. I find it mad. Imagine if we were still talking about Palhinha and Kamara in like 2 seasons' time.
I'm trying to think, is there anyone we do still talk about? We talk about Ben Mee. We talk about Ben Mee's injury on Wesley, but that was a shocker. That was a real shocker, and that
was a genuine shocker, though. Yeah, whatever.
I think that's probably the only thing. And I'd say it could be 2 years since I've spoken about Ben Mee doing that, but someone probably clipped one up from one of my podcasts
from about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. Curse of the Black Kit has been lifted, says Des Williams. I'd completely forgotten about that. Yeah, of course. That's that. I'm pretty sure this is right. That's our first victory in that kit, isn't it? It's like full stop. Because we obviously lost to United last day of last season. A couple of draws in the start of this season. Then we had a period of not wearing it at all. Wore the white one a few times. Wore lots of claret and blue, including away at Spurs. So why we had to wear the black kit today, I don't really even know. So nice to finally win in that shirt. Hopefully that's the end of what seemed like a genuine curse.
And for the portly gentleman like myself, it's great to be able to wear black again, because it's we can wear it again. It's a slimming colour.
Hides all the curves in all the
more than black though.
On Buendia, just quickly to wrap up, the 2 goals. I thought both were very good goals, by the way, but the first one in particular is, I think, Danny Murphy even singing Villa's praises at half-time, which I really had to rub my ears at. Rub my eyes, kind of the same thing. I was just sitting there rubbing my ears.
It's like the same thing as your eyes.
No, but I mean, like, rubbing my eyes. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But he was like, that was an Emery goal. That is the Emery system. It's a 4-2-3-1 that becomes a 4-2-2-2. The box midfield, the 2 sitting midfielders are basically blocked off, so that creates space for McGinn to come in from the right, Buendia from the left. They're three men basically. Ball goes in, quick feet, quick pass. I think, is it Marlon who gets the assist for the Buendia goal?
I think it is. Yeah.
His little kind of reverse pass sideways is a very good ball. Great weight on it, and it's a lovely finish. Like, that was a really sexy goal, actually, I thought. And the second one, similar in a way, not the kind of line breaking verticality of it, but just the really quick feet, the tight spaces, the little flick off from Buendia into Rodgers, who's got time to kind of roll it in on his left side. 2 really high quality goals, but the first one in particular was, as Danny Murphy said, that's what we've seen from this side so often.
I agree. Yeah, like, there were 2 really well worked goals, and there were pivotal times in the game as well when we were on top, and Rodgers won just before half time as well. So I love it's the team nature of our goals. So we've gone through periods of scoring one-hit wonders, from people who've made their own chances and boom, swung a leg at it. But Villa are showing the versatility of that as well. They worked those goals really, really well, and they were easy on the eye, and there was a lot of passes in the build up, and they were deliberate. They were deliberate goals, and I like that. And I know you're talking about the first one there, but the second one, there was one piece of play that Morgan Rodgers does when he's in the box and he gets that ball, and he just shifts that ball to the left because of the body position. And I don't know whether he knows this, and it's very easy to look at this in slow motion again. But like, he shifts that ball in between. I think he's two Spurs players in front of him, one behind him. He shifts it in front. He's the only person who can actually go for that ball at that stage when it's in live play and it's out slightly in the open, because if anybody touches him, it's a penalty straight away. Yeah. And I think that's like, that was fearful from them because they know how good he is with his feet. And then when he gets it, he pinpoints it into the bottom corner. There's an intelligence to that goal from the way that you see it. And also there was a lot of flicks and nice triangulation in that goal as well. So they're two good goals coming from a team that's full of chemistry and full of camaraderie, I think, within that team. And you can see it with how they know where everybody is. It's nice to watch.
Yeah, absolutely agree. 2 points to end. One's a silly one. Well, actually, they're both silly, really, if you think about it. Let's get the non-silly one out of the way that I think probably is silly. I was going to ask you, who do you want in the next round, Neil? Which I think is quite silly, because what's the point? I'm going to ask you for a club name here.
Did Weston-super-Mare win against Grimsby? Because they were 2-2. Because I want Weston-super-Mare away.
Grimsby won. Sorry to say,
they win. I don't want Grimsby away. I certainly don't.
No, that'd be grim. Blues obviously won. I'm sure people know about that. Don't want Blues, despite actually 81 and 89 minute goals from Cambridge for a little bit of scare at the end. But Birmingham won. Newcastle won. Obviously, Crystal Palace lost famously. Man City beat Exeter 10-1. Don't want Man City, really, although we've got a decent record against them. You don't want them still. Anybody lower league is what you want at Villa Park as well.
Give me Burton. Give me Burton away.
Real Villa says I'd love to play Blues next. I don't get the appetite for a Blues game at all.
I don't want Blues next, because if you think Pellegrini kicking players up into the air today was anything, wait till you get Blues in the next round, and that could be one that could really derail our season. So I want Burton, and the reason I want Burton is because there's a fella who grew up about 15 miles away from me. His name is John McGrath. Played with Aston Villa. Hopper McGrath played under John Gregory. Played in that left wing back position, but he also went down to Burton, and he's a Burton legend as well, and he's legend from the small town where I grew up as well. So let's play Burton and make it all about me.
Yeah, fine.
My tiny little corner of West Limerick in Ireland.
Yeah, don't mind that. A decent answer. I want anybody lower league, a kind of proper cup game where Villa are the favourites against a lower championship side or a League One side at home, and we win comfortably and we're into the next round without any fuss. That's what I want. I wouldn't have any. If Villa won the FA Cup, Neil, and the reaction from other supporters was, yeah, but Villa didn't play anybody good. So, not bothered at all. I want to play the worst ranked team in every single round possible and beat them at home. It doesn't matter to me whether we have to beat a good side or not. Beat Spurs away for the third round. Like, it's a good start, but I'm playing crap teams from now on in.
Does anybody remember that Spurs didn't play anybody good in Europa League last year when they won it?
Well, yeah, exactly.
You know, so
the team that wins it obviously don't care. There's always talk of like, we didn't play anyone good.
I'm playing the Pantheon villain there just because we had a couple of Spurs fans. I'm playing the Pantheon villain. That was, look, we would kill for Europa League as well. But I don't think anybody really remembers that. They might remember it for a year afterwards, but like in 10 years' time, you'll struggle to remember who the hell anybody played.
Other teams do that. Man City, how many times have Man City got like easy fixtures until like the quarter or semi-final?
Yeah. The cup is a cup.
Right. One other thing I wanted to mention. I did this in the last episode. I like raising a little bugbear here and there. So my last one was why, when we instantly know that a corner should be given, we all know it's a corner, but they've not given it. Why can't VAR just intervene and say, oh, yeah, by the way, that was a corner? We all know it instantly on the TV cameras before the goal kick is even taken. So why are we not fixing that? My bugbear today, Neil, is Thomas Frank's chewing gum. I've never seen a man chewing gum so aggressively with his mouth wide open. I think so rude. Why is that necessary? Shut your mouth. Well,
Fergie was famous for
that's grim as well.
Yeah,
that's grim as well. Yeah.
I don't know.
I've never chewed chewing gum like that in my entire life.
I don't know that he have his mouth open, Fergie, but
definitely I've got memories of that as well, and I remember thinking the same when I was much younger. But now I'm getting towards being a bit of an older man. There's no need for that slapping your chops at a chewing gum. There's just absolutely no need for it.
Does Thomas Frank smoke? Maybe it's a Nicorette or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it's a nervous tick.
Do it politely.
You can close your mouth. You can close your mouth. It's not the act of chewing gum that you have an issue with. So it's the open mouth action.
It's the brashness of it. Yeah, it's the really aggressive like chomping of it. The chewing gum, they're like tiny. You just chew it in the back of your teeth. You know, a bit of freshness in your mouth. I get it. Like I chew chewing gum, but not like a I don't know, an XL bully.
I just wanted to get you to chomp your teeth.
I didn't really want to do it, to be honest, but every time I cut away to him, he's slapping away. And while I'm on this subject, and I know my dad, if he's still listening, he'll be exactly the same. Pep Guardiola's gobbing everywhere every 5 minutes. That's even worse. The amount of times I've seen him roll up with a gob in his tongue and spit it out every 10 seconds. That's disgusting.
Yeah, and remember Drachim Lowe as well. What's with managers? Managers are weirdos.
I don't see.
Fella just throws his coat.
If Emery was doing any of this, I'd be saying exactly the same. It's not an anti-Villa thing, or sorry, a pro-Villa thing. But no. Every time I showed him, I was like, I've been expecting him to do it in his post-match presser, to be honest, slapping away. Anyway, that'll do for this episode.
I still like Thomas Frank. I don't know. But I look, as I say, it's not going great for him at Spurs at the moment, and he'll feel the pressure after this again. But yeah.
Okay, right. That'll do for this episode of the Cloud Blue podcast. Neil, thank you very much for joining me and indulging my silliness to end. Thanks to everyone who watched along live. Over 600 people watching a 40-minute show late on a Saturday night. Thank you very much for that. As I say, I think Bardell's going live, so if you want more Villa in your life, there are other Villa podcasts you can listen to. And Neil, yours, of course, the For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast, already out before ours. So, plenty out there. We'll be back next on Monday for a Q&A. You might see John Townley's Walk and Talk on YouTube as well on Sunday. But Neil, thank you for joining me. Thank you, everybody, for watching along or listening, even the Spurs fans. And we'll see you in a couple of days. Bye-bye.